Hello, everybody, and welcome into Corner Booth Sports. My name's John Zaglul of WCKG and Sports Talk Chicago. With me, my man, as always, Daniel Karp. We started up this podcast about 2 weeks ago now, and we're coming back at you with another episode to recap this week in sports. Daniel, how are you, man?
It's great to be here, John. I'm feeling great. Baseball is finally back, so never thought we'd finally get here, but we did. So we got a lot to uncover today. Looking forward to it.
That's right. We're going to start off this week, as we will probably every week from here on out, winners and losers of the week. So, Daniel, you could go first. Who is your winner of this week?
My winner this week is me.
Really? Okay.
It's me. Yeah, I say this because last week we talked about who our MVP picks were, and I went out on a limb, and I said it was Joey Votto, and you said Joey Votto's terrible. He had an awful 2019. But look who's starting the season red hot. It's the Cincinnati Reds, Joey Votto, who's got 2 home runs already, batting above 300. I'm the winner this week. Next week, he could fall off a cliff with his stats. But for now, I'm the winner.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I was wrong, at least for now. Hopefully he'll come back down. See, it's the law of averages, Daniel, right? For example, great adage, Chris Davis of the A's, 4 years in a row hitting 247. He was at 280 at one point. He went as low as 220. In the end, though, he ended up going right to where he was. So I'm hoping that the law of averages will apply to Joey Votto as well. And at the end of the year, yeah, he'll be back to 260, 270, 13 home runs, whatever it might be. But you are correct for this week, and I give you credit for that. You really did take a risk there because it didn't seem like there was any real winning potential with that pick.
I don't know. I think I've got the senses right now. I think I'm going to go to Vegas after this. I'm going to put in some picks. And I don't know. I think that with the fact they added Mike Moustakas, I think that he's finally hitting his stride again. I think that he's rejuvenated with this new season. I think the rotation is good, and they're playing some good baseball right now.
So how about your loser then? Who's the loser this week?
So my loser, very somber. It's the Miami Marlins. Of course, they are not going to be playing a game for what could be 10 days to 14 days, could be longer, who knows? And that's super unfortunate. But the real reason why they are losers is because they were finally above 500. They were 2-1. They were playing some good baseball. They beat the Phillies twice, who you picked to win the division. They lost twice to the Marlins.
Yep.
And that is why they're the biggest loser, because they can't show the world that they are now a talented team with a bunch of veterans in their lineup. And you know what? Once they finally get healthy, they will be winners because they are going to make the playoffs this year under the expanded playoffs ruling from the MLB. So I'm excited for them to turn it from losers to winners, but for now, they are losers as a result of their COVID situation.
Yeah, I agree as we go into mine now. My loser was also the Marlins for a different reason, though. You had one job, right? Follow the protocol. Follow what Major League Baseball tells you, and there won't be an issue. We'll have a full season. You'll play all your 60 games. The playoffs were expanded. You had a chance to actually make the postseason. You had one job. Stay in your hotel room, practice social distancing. Don't go out on the town in Atlanta on your first weekend of baseball. And what do? Bam, right out right away. Full team, 20 guys. Now everybody's sick. It's just so aggravating. Just follow the rules. Is it that hard? Now, I said this, Daniel, 2 months ago when the first protocols came out. Remember, they were like 70, 80 pages, and they called for masks in the dugout. They called for guys sitting in the first row of the bleachers during games because they didn't want the dugouts too crowded. I said, these are ridiculous. These are overbearing. No one will follow these. And I guess we've already seen that happen. It's a shame. It really is. But I'll tell you one thing. They have completely bungled this season already. And now we're seeing news, too, of the Cardinals. And, hopefully this trend won't continue. But if you got guys who won't follow the protocols, if you've got teams facing other teams who don't follow the protocols, chances are, who knows what's going to happen the rest of this season.
Yeah, you say a lot of great things in there. I mean, they're sad things, but accurate things at the very least. And yeah, I think that this entire season, things are going to be changing every single day. A new team's going to pop up. You're going to have to sit out a few games. I think that no team is going to get to 60 games played. I just don't see it happening. And the Marlins are definitely going to be affected by that. But it'll be interesting to see how they decide to create the postseason teams based on winning percentage, based on total wins. Who knows? I think that they're going to do winning percentage. That's just what makes the most sense to me. But yeah, I think that a lot of teams are in trouble right now. We're seeing it with the NBA. They had 0 positive cases. They're doing a great job of it. I mean, the bubble,
Yes.
it's working. And the MLB, obviously, they wanted to do a bubble situation in Arizona. The logistics just couldn't come together. But now they're seeing the consequences.
100% agree. You know, it's a shame that guys just couldn't get together and work together for one common goal, one common cause. We want to play a season. We want baseball back. Let's have everybody work together and come up with the solution. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. As for my winner this week, despite the Marlins situation, my winner is Major League Baseball and the National Basketball Association. They're back. How crazy is that, dude? I mean, March 13th is a day that I'm sure will live in infamy for everybody in this world. The day that sports stopped, the day that all of this became very real and very quickly. And now, just over 100 days later, live sports are back. The NBA starts tonight, July 30th. The MLB has been in existence now for a week. So in general, despite the Marlins, despite probably what's still to come, I'm very happy that both leagues are back. They're definitely winners for trying to find ways to be innovative and get back as quick as possible.
I totally agree. I mean, I have been waiting 3 months, it feels like, to sit on the couch, eat some Pringles, and just watch the games. I haven't felt like a dude's dude in forever. I want to feel fat on the couch. I want to enjoy the sports. And you know what? In whatever format it is, whether it's no fans in the stands or the NBA bubble with the weird setup that they've kind of got going on with the games, I'm glad it's back. It's so free. There's something to look forward to. There's something to root for. And during this pandemic, we have not had much to root for. But now that we have sports teams back for however long it is and however competitive the games are, we have something to root for. And that's a really positive step.
Yeah, you know, I remember when The Last Dance was out. I'm sure you can attest to this. I watched it all live, of course, like all of America. And I remember during the commercial breaks, ESPN would run this same commercial. It was some Post Malone song playing in the background. Can You Feel It, I think. And they had the new documentaries coming out, right? Like the McGuire and the Soaps one. They were promoting that one. They were promoting the Bruce Lee one. And I don't know, man. I got touched. I'm like, okay, hopefully we can get to a point where we can see this stuff live again. Because those commercials, that ad campaign was outstanding. And to me, it felt like, okay, well, we're getting there. We're getting closer. Each passing day means we're one day closer. And now we're here. So I agree. It's great. Great to be back at it. And to go off of that point, Daniel, it's time to talk about Joe Kelly and the Astros situation. Of course, why can't the MLB just have no controversy, right? It's been 5-6 days in. We've got teams dropping like flies due to COVID. And now we've got Joe Kelly suspended for 8 games for not even hitting, but throwing at Astros players. Your initial reaction is what?
The MLB cannot do anything right when it comes to the situation. First off, 8 games is an absurd amount for hitting anyone. Okay, he's getting what would be a prorated 22-game suspension for a 162-game season. Some players that commit domestic abuse in the past got 30 games. Now, they should have gotten more, but there's no way that Joe Kelly should have gotten anything close to that. I cannot believe that they gave him 8 games. I cannot believe that the MLB is, for the second time, siding with the players, first giving the Astros immunity and now giving them a shield of protection. I mean, every time that a team is going to step up to play and pitch against the Astros are not going to be scared about that inside corner anymore because they know that they're fully protected. It's disappointing. Rob Manfred should not have engaged. He should have let the game self-correct. Now that he is engaged, he's going to have to engage every single time that someone does something towards the Astros. It's a big mistake all around. And on the Astros front, just a secondary thing, I'm super happy to see that almost all of them are batting below the Mendoza line right now. They are all hitting terribly besides Carlos Correa. And I'm excited this season to see Jose Altuve bat below 300 because he's just not that good when when he doesn't have banging going on. What about you?
I agree. And, it's simple as this. The Astros received no punishment, no suspension, nothing. All of the players received immunity. They received immunity. Nobody got punished. No one was suspended. No one was fined. And we've mentioned this before. Guys benefited. Bregman, Altuve, multi-million-dollar, hundreds of million-dollar contract extensions for performing well under that system. Now it's over. Now they're hitting under 200, under 100 in George Springer's case. A pitcher decides to exact revenge, and rightfully so. If I were a pitcher, I'd throw at every single one of them. And in return, the commissioner of baseball does not punish the Astros for what they did. He punishes the pitcher who tries to carry out some tough justice. That is beyond mind-boggling. It's ridiculous to me. That is just a breach of everything that the MLB has done. And, I have a ton of Facebook friends. I posted this on Facebook. You saw it. You liked it. There were ex-ball players commenting. One of them said, I'm so fed up with baseball. It's not the same sport that I played and that I was in 10, 20 years ago. And you know what? You look at the game today, just in general, but including this scandal, it is completely different. It's made people like me, and if it wasn't for my love of baseball, I would be totally alienated from the game because of the way it's being governed at the very top by Major League Baseball, by Manfred, by other guys in that executive's chair. It's sickening to me, disgusting the way all of this has been handled.
Yeah, I'm totally disappointed. I mean, the fact that Joe Kelly, and you can make the case that he only threw one of them. The second pitch to
Right.
if it was Springer or Correa, that ball was a slider. And we've seen time and again, he's got no command. We saw during the pandemic when he was, still the pandemic, but when he was inside in his house, he broke a window trying to throw a changeup. He's got no command of his own. Now, he did throw it at his head, which was at Bregman's head, which I'm not a fan. I think throwing at the head is too much. And he has thrown at people before, so he has a track record of doing this. But he only threw out one person, and so often we let pitchers slide for throwing out one person. Do you maybe give him a game for throwing at his head? Yeah, maybe. But he was exacting revenge on something that the MLB should have taken care of. And what's worse is the fact that the MLB is trying to jump in now against every other team. I don't see what they're doing. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know where they're going with it, and I'm interested to see what happens from here.
It's so funny. I had the Tampa Bay Rays broadcaster with me on the show yesterday, and he also used to be the head coach at University of Chicago and Elmhurst College, a former baseball coach who's now a broadcaster, and he used to play in college. And when we talked about it, he told me when I played, I was told one time to hit a guy, and I did it. But he was like, you know what? I knew my fastball was only 80 miles per hour, and I hit him on the butt or the lower thigh. He went to first, and that was it. And he told me, he's like, if you want to hit somebody for a purpose, do that. Aim for their butt, aim for their lower thigh, hit them, move on. Yeah, everybody's pissed in the moment, but hit them and move on. So I do agree in the sense that Kelly was wrong for going near his head. Yes, you can kill somebody. I understand it. It's not the best place to hit him. But at the same time, you know what? I think it did serve its purpose. And he didn't hit him. We could play the if game back and forth here. The reality is he was not hit, wasn't even touched by the baseball.
No. Throwing at his head, it does not matter if you hit him or not. You threw at his head. He was going to get a suspension no matter what.
Yes, he was going to get suspended, but my idea is this. It was just to send a message. I get it. I'm not advocating for throwing at the head. But I understand the mindset. I understand what was going through his head. That's all I'm saying. And you know what? 8 games is still way too long. Even if he threw at his head, whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
Way too long to give a guy who has not cheated, has not done anything wrong, versus the cheaters on the field who are reaping the benefits still of that World Series and that dynasty.
I mean, it's something like 15% of the games. How can you do that? How
Right.
can you do that? Makes no sense at all. In any event,
Well,
I want to hear about something that I also think was another mistake by MLB, both the players and the MLB commissioner's office. The expanded playoffs. I hate them. What do you think? I'll get into why I hate them, but I want to hear what you think.
this is a way to dumb down the game of baseball. And I say this because over the years, I think the MLB has really taken out the true meaning of the game. First of all of this stuff due to the pandemic is bogus, okay? The DH, now we're doing split 7-inning games for double headers. This is Major League Baseball, not college baseball, not high school baseball, not minor league baseball, independent ball. Nope, it's the major leagues. This is the show. Play the game, govern the game the way it was supposed to be. We play 2 9-inning games. Is it that hard for you to play 4 extra innings during a doubleheader? They're using the pandemic to push in this new baseball idea and agenda. And I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of it. You can call me a purist. You can call me a boomer. You could say, oh, you know, his ideas are from 70, 80 years ago. You know what? This is the way the game was supposed to be played. We don't let everybody in, okay? The NBA lets half the league in. The NFL lets a lot of teams in. Great. The beauty of baseball is you have to be damn good to get to the postseason. And once you get there, you have to be even more damn good to get to the World Series and win it. That's the way it goes. It's competitive. It's tough. That's the way it's meant to be. We're not handing out participation trophies. This is millennialism. We are not handing out participation trophies. If you're good, if you're that good, you get in. And that's it. Right? So I am just totally appalled by this decision. Now we're letting in half the league, more than half the league. Let's let everybody in. Let's play a big old round robin to end the year. We might as well. Let's award the teams who go 0-60 and let them into the playoffs. Horrible decision.
I totally agree, and I cannot wait for this to blow up in MLB's face. As of right now, they're making the logical decision to make more money. Almost all of these decisions are always based on money. That's the bottom line. It stinks, but that's the bottom line. It's money first. So they're doing this to get more playoff games, generate more money, and I understand it. But when a team like the Marlins or the Orioles makes the playoffs and knocks off a team like the Dodgers, who they actually want to be in the World Series at the end, this is going to blow up in their faces, and I cannot wait for that. I think that the idea of the home field advantage makes no sense. You've got no fans in the seats. You're going to give, 3 games at Yankee Stadium? It makes no sense. The Yankees are not going to actually benefit from that. Any team could come in there and take 2 out of 3 on any given day. So I think that that's a moot point to give the team 3 games at home field. What I would have done possibly is say, okay, you've got 2 games. Make the road team win both games. If they can't win both road games, they should not beat the team that's ahead of them. That's kind of like what the NBA is doing with the 8-9 seed. And that's kind of what I think the MLB should have done with their expanded playoffs. Another thing that comes as a result of this change is the fact that the regular season does not matter. I watched opening day. I'm so excited. Then the next day I realized, what are we playing for? You're the New York Yankees. You're the Tampa Bay Rays. You're the Dodgers. You're going to make the playoffs no matter what. Sure, you might not have home field throughout all of it, but the regular season does not matter anymore. The Yankees are going to make it even if half their team gets hurt. The same thing with the Braves. I cannot imagine why they would want to do this besides the money. They are ruining the game. I think that this is stupid. It's only for one season, but it sows the seeds for the future, and that is what I'm worried about.
I said this when the pandemic began, Daniel. They're instituting all of these changes, and they're saying it's because of the pandemic, because of the short season. No. What's going to happen is if it succeeds this year, it will become law. That will become the game of baseball moving forward. And there have to be more people like us who are willing to stand up and say, no, this is wrong. This is not baseball. Now we have everybody, the new age group of baseball philosophers and ideals and sabermetricians saying, let's do it. Let's make all this change. I'm all for change. I'm not stubborn. I'm not an old dog. But at the same time, we need to do this sensibly. We need to preserve the values of the game itself. And I don't think that's being done right now. I think a lot of this is geared, like you said, towards money and towards more offense, more interest, right? The MLB is the most boring sport in America. Everybody can't stand sitting there for 3 hours watching a 2-1 game. So we put in the DHs. Now we have the extra innings rules. Runner at second right away, 1 out. They're doing this to procure and bring in more offense and thus more interest when baseball knows the true problem is just the length of game. If you bring down the length of game, more people are going to watch, whether it's a 2-1 game, whether it's a 21-20 game. But they want to usher in more offense to make up for the fact that they can't bring down game times. And I am just utterly appalled and disgusted with the way this game is going. And the beauty of baseball, too, is that, again, you have to be good to make it in. The regular season matters because you have to win 90, 95 games to get to the playoffs. Like, personally, I've lost all interest in the NBA. Why? I don't care. Each game means nothing. You can be the 8th seed, have LeBron James, and win the championship once you get there. 4, 5, 6 does not matter anymore. It wasn't like that 10 years ago. It's like that today. I don't want to see baseball follow that philosophy and get to a point where if I throw on a regular season game, I'm going to have no interest. And I feel like those days are also coming soon with this expansion.
Yeah, I have the same fears as you. Every single 500 team is going to make the playoffs this year. And that's stupid, in my opinion. It's lame. I just don't get it. It is ruining the game this year. I'm happy that baseball's back, but each night you go to sleep and you think, what does that game mean? And the truth is, it doesn't mean much. It does not mean much. In any event, we're talking about all the negatives about baseball, but at the end of the day, we're happy that it's back. Very happy that it's back. And alongside the many great hours of TV that we've been able to witness, there have been some funny moments that I want to hear your thoughts on this week. Derek Shelton, the manager for the Pirates, got into an argument with I forgot which umpire it was, and they're both putting on their masks. What do you think of this alternate reality where they go out to argue, but before they do this, they all put on their masks?
I mean, I get you have to be careful. I understand it, but I mean, wow. I looked at it and I was like, what's going on here? You know, it's a shame that in this case, I understand, right? We need to make sure that we're safe. That way the game continues. But at the same time, it's like, man, this isn't – I don't know what this is. I mean, I grew up watching Lou Piniella kicking dirt on umpires, throwing his hat at them and getting all riled up. And now we have umpires and managers maintaining 6 feet and putting on masks and trying to argue. I mean, it is a much different world. And if you told me 5 months ago that's where we would be today, I would have said you're crazy.
I mean, it's just hilarious. You see, he's fuming in the dugout. He gets out. He's like, oh, no, I got to put on the mask. Throws on that mask and then walks over. Then you see the umpire take off his headgear, puts on his mask. His mask falls off. The other guy puts his mask back up. It's just – I found it great to watch. I thought it was hilarious. I think that it was hilarious when Anthony Rizzo was offering hand sanitizer to everyone that got to first base. I think overall it's very weird seeing post-pandemic baseball. I liked seeing – I don't know if you saw this, but in Citi Field, Chipper Jones bought his own poster for himself as to be one of the fans at the game. He and his son are there. The Braves always beat the Mets, man, even when it comes to pandemic stuff. And just all these different little niche things that you never thought would happen, they're all happening. And for all the bad things that baseball is bringing, those are like a few of the things that are just making me laugh when I'm sitting on the couch.
100%. You know, I don't know if you know this, but Chipper Jones's son is named Shea. He named him
I did know that, yeah.
Because he beat the crap out of the Mets whenever he was playing at the old Shea Stadium. That's hilarious. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that he did that. That's hilarious.
I mean, he's beating the Mets into retirement. I mean, how brilliant is that? You see teams are selling poster boards for fans, and he's sitting there on his couch saying, "You know what? I'm gonna screw the Mets again. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be able to laugh at them when they lose on their home turf when I'm not even there." And the Mets are stupid enough to not realize that it's Chipper Jones buying the thing and putting it up.
Unbelievable. Well, I guess for every team, Daniel, so many people are losing money that I guess they'll take whomever. I mean,
They're
put
desperate.
up, right? They need something. So if they can get their $60 and put up a cardboard cutout, I guess so be it. No matter who it is. I guess that's the moral of that story.
It just feels like for $1 billion teams, they're scrounging for money. It's kind of sad when you think about it.
Hey, it is. But unfortunately, that's where I would argue pretty much every team in baseball is at that point now. They need. I mean, you think about how much money they're losing by paying some game day staff. No concession sales, no fans. Yeah, they're going to need money like that. So very innovative. I'd love to meet the person who first came up with that idea. I'm sure it must have been someone in some PR department or some front office in baseball, but it's a very nice touch. I like the cardboard cutouts. It makes it feel like somebody is there and it's not as awkward.
And what about the fan noise? Personally, I find it so weird. You see a fly ball get hit to the outfield, and you hear the MLB The Show noise on the TV, and you're hearing the whistles, and we're living in an alternate reality that just everything that happens is just so unique, and I don't know, just weird.
I'm okay with the fan noise, but sometimes it's too generic. Like I know here on Marquee in Chicago, I think the Cubs hit back-to-back home runs one game, and they used the exact same tone of the cheer from the fans for both home runs. And it's like, well, this sounds kind of robotic. It sounds fake. But other times, it's nice just to hear that little noise, that white noise in the background. So depends on the situation. It'd be nice, and of course, I know I'm asking for a lot here, but it'd be nice if they could find ways to switch up those tones and make it a bit more realistic. But again, baseball is back. I shouldn't even be complaining about fan noise, but here I am doing it.
I figured it out. This is going to be our multi-billion-dollar industry. We're going to make 30 different noises, 30 different sounds for every single game. For the Yankees, we're going to make bleacher creatures making their sound. Boston, they're going to have their fans booing. We're going to do it for every team. We're going to make a lot of money. It's going to be great. We can stop the podcast. We can retire right now.
That sounds like a good idea.
Speaking of retiring with a lot of money, and I hate these segues.
Great segue.
Speaking of retiring with a lot of money in his pockets, Mookie Betts this week signed a $385 million contract before playing a single game in a Dodger uniform. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the Dodgers are making a grave mistake, but it's their money.
They?
It's not mine. Yes, they are. Yes. You know
They've
what?
got a window.
Mookie
This
Betts.
is the window.
Great. If they want to win.
Hold on. No, I already got to stop you. I already got to stop you.
Okay.
I don't know how long they're going to have. They've got Cody Bellinger for 3 more seasons, including this one. They've got their pitchers that are aging. Clayton Kershaw's getting older. His back's getting worse.
Right.
They've only got a small window left. They're trying to extend their window by also signing the top 5 talent in the league.
I got to stop you right there. I don't know if Mookie Betts is a top 5 talent. I will contend to this day that he is extremely overrated. And for whatever reason, I still don't know. I don't know why everybody hypes him up. Okay. 2 years ago, when he won the AL MVP, he played in 136 games. Chicago people will remember, I said this on my show, Carlos Quentin in 2008 was the AL MVP favorite. Broke his wrist 134 games in, and he was essentially eliminated from ever getting any consideration. So why is it that 10 years later, a guy who plays in essentially the same amount of games gets the award? Mike Trout played in more games and did better, did not win the award. Mookie hit 346, yes, in limited time. He played in 136 games. So I will contend that the MVP should not have been his. As for other years,
I gotta
no
stop
one
you
noticed.
No. I gotta stop you. Carlos Quentin, I pulled it up after you brought it up. In 2008, played 130 games and had a 5.3 WAR. Only a 5.3 WAR. Do you want to know how big? That's good, but MVP
That's
WAR is 8 and above. Mookie Betts in 136 games, and might I remind you, the team won 108 games that year. He had a 10.6 WAR in 136 games. He was on pace to put up one of the best seasons of all time. Now, in any event, let me read you through his career stats. His stats, he's batting 300 over a 7-year career. He is averaging 26 stolen bases a year. For the past 5 years, I mean, this one excluded, for 4 years,
right,
he's averaged 30 home runs with 45 doubles, over 100 runs. He's playing a fantastic center field. He is a 30 home run, 300 hitter, putting up an average of 96 RBIs over 162 games while playing the best or second best center field in the game. And you want to tell me he's not top 5?
Explain to me. No. Explain those numbers. I'll be honest with you, Daniel. Those numbers are not eye-popping, though. Does he deserve $35, $40 million a year for those numbers that are eventually going to go down? He's at the peak. I don't think
here's
so.
why. With every single one of these massive contracts, there's one common thread. You have to overpay. You have to overpay to get the star. Is he worth $30 million for 10 years, $300 million? I would pay him that. You paid Bryce Harper that, and you want to tell me that Bryce Harper's worth the contract? Even if you don't.
He's not.
My point is this, is that Mookie Betts is putting up, from the leadoff spot, with one of the best center fielders in the game, 30, 100, and batting 300. His OPS plus for his career is 133.
That's great.
He's batting first. He's going to give you, besides that 1 year, he's played 145 games at least every single season.
Here's my question. Go back to 2017. That's the Mookie Betts I knew and respected before the mainstream baseball world latched on to Mookie Betts. I remember, because I'm a baseball fan and I actually look at stats every day, Betts, I believe it was 2016, hit 180 plus hits, only hit 18 home runs. He was the leadoff hitter that I thought he was going to be. Then he turned into this power threat, and everybody kind of latched on the Mookie Betts bandwagon, and his WAR started to go up great. You know what? I remember Mookie Betts at that point, and I thought, wow, this guy's pretty good. Now he's hitting 30 home runs, I know, and it's hypocritical to me because everybody's latching on to the Mookie Betts bandwagon when I knew about him from 5 years ago, and I liked the guy I knew about 5 years ago. And now today, I can obviously tell that, he's getting paid. Yeah, he's good. He's not an MVP. Shouldn't have won the MVP that year. I'll still contend that. And by the time year 3,
with 30 home runs,
he hit 340. And by the time year 3 or 4 comes of this contract, he is going to be he's already on the downturn. Look at last year. Look at last year compared to the MVP season, and look at where he is today.
295 with 30 home runs, and he led the league in runs scored with an OPS of 915 and an OPS plus higher than his average for his career.
Okay, well, the year before he had 346. Now he's going down to 297. Dude,
wait, hold on. You're expecting him to bat 350 for his entire career?
I'm not, but I'm expecting him to still be somewhere near that mark, 320, 310. He's already on the downturn. The Dodgers are paying a guy who's already started to decline. And by year 3 or 4 of his contract, maybe they'll win a World Series, but by year 3 or 4, they're already going to be regretting this. And I still can't believe that he's never played a game for them, or at the time he never played a game for them, and they paid him $400 million essentially. It's insane.
That's the part that's shocking to me. It's the fact that he didn't play a game and he wants to be there for 13 years.
Right.
They haven't seen him play a game and they want him to be there for 13 years. Either way, you look back at that 2015 year, he still finished 19th in MVP voting. He didn't have a power surge yet, but he batted 290, which is actually worse than he batted just last season. He had 18 home runs, you're right. Still had 40 doubles, 170 hits, and almost 100 runs scored. Again, while playing a fantastic center field. Because in 2015, he still had a 6 WAR. He has not had below a 6 WAR for 6 seasons.
Well, WAR is misleading, though, Daniel. We've talked about this a number of times.
No, but his value as a center fielder on that team, a team that is poised to now make a World Series run for at least 3 or 4 years, has now gotten, if not a top 5, a top 20 player. If you want to even go there, I mean, can you name 20 players better than Mookie Betts right now?
He's a top 20, not a top 5, and he's
He's a
not
top 10
worth
at
the
least?
money. Maybe 10.
You're
Maybe
complaining
at
about
10.
him being ranked 5 to 10 as opposed to 1 to 5?
Yeah, it's a big difference because the pay is different. The pay is different. He's being paid like he's the best player in baseball. Obviously,
No, he's being
not.
paid like he's entering his prime on a team that has a lot of money to pay him and a team that not only has a lot of money to pay him, but also has a window to win the World Series. All those factors combined means that he's worth that money.
The one contention I will say is that I don't believe he's entering his prime. I believe he's already reached his prime. Maybe he has 2 more, 3 more years of replicating what he did last year in the MVP year, yes. But I don't think it's going to get any better for Mookie Betts. That's just me. It can't get much better than 346 in 136 games. So I don't know.
No, of course it can't get that much better than that one season. But the point is that he is entering peak years as a collective, and those are going to be years where the Dodgers need someone in center field to be an MVP caliber player. You got Cody Bellinger in right. I mean, depending on where you want to put him.
Right.
You got Jock Peterson in the left. You got Kike Hernandez, whoever you want to put in the outfield. You've got a team that's poised to make runs. You need that extra piece clearly to get over the hump because the Dodgers have not won. Why when you have him? Plus, also you're going to now throw away. You got rid of Alex Verdugo, and you're shelling out $60 million to David Price. You're going to let all that slide by without signing Mookie Betts? You're going to sign him. You're going to pay him a lot of money to keep him there. You got to pay him the big bucks.
You're right. I think they overpaid. I think he is overrated, whether Ward wants to state it or not. I will say it. And I think by year 3 or 4, they're probably going to regret this deal. But you know what? If they win a World Series,
and if they've won a World Series, will they regret it? It doesn't matter.
No, they won't. You're right. You're 100% right. You know what? They won't regret it. Even when he's 39 years old, puttering around the field, and they're still paying him $30 million, if they do win it once, they probably won't regret it. So I guess it's worth it from a Dodgers standpoint. But if we're talking about basic skill, talent, and the money he was actually paid, I think it was a bit overpriced. That's just me.
You know, the Yankees this year are paying 3 players nearly $100 million combined. But if they win this year, they're not going to care. I'm sorry, $100 million before the prorated division.
Right.
They're not going to care. The Dodgers have the same sentiment and mentality right now. If they can win, paying Kershaw $30 million, paying Betts a lot, paying Price to sit out. I don't think he's getting paid, but if they can pay all of these guys and win, they haven't won since what? In the 80s? 87 maybe?
89?
89?
80, yeah.
That will be worth it.
I agree.
When the Yankees win the World Series this year with Garrett Cole on the bump, Stanton in left, and Tanaka sitting on the bench paying him $25 million, it's going to be worth it. It's worth it to pay to win. And that is why the Bryce Harper contract is the worst contract in baseball history because the Phillies will never win. They have no chance to win with that team, and they just threw money down the drain. Anyway.
Now that I could fully that Harper contract was horrible. A guy who all of a sudden can't hit for average and gets whatever it is, $25 million for 10 years. Yeah, now that was a horrible deal. We'll have to see. Time will tell if this contract will be worth it. So we'll have to see what happens.
What was worse, by the way, in your opinion? Garrett Cole's contract or Mookie Betts' contract? Because Garrett Cole is a little bit older. They're paying him $36 million a year. It's only 9 years, though.
I would have to say Cole's a bit because Cole is older. And again, what he did last year was outstanding. The way I look at it is if you're at that point, you can only go down. It's not like you can get any better. You know what I mean? So if the Yankees are paying him for 9 years and that amount of money, he can only go down. He can either replicate what he did the year before, which, yeah, could be the case for a year or two, but then it's going to be completely downhill. So in that case, yeah, the Cole one by a nose. But that being said, the Betts one I don't think is that much smarter either. But again, if both teams end up winning, I guess it doesn't matter. If they don't, then we'll talk about a real problem, though.
Yeah, I mean, the hope for both teams is that players, Garrett Cole turns out to be Verlander, where into his late 30s, he's great. And on the Betts side, he turns into Nelson Cruz, who, as he gets older, is somehow becoming a fine wine. I mean, these guys, hopefully those guys are – or that's at least what the front offices are hoping for, is that these players maintain their numbers until the late 30s, and they can have a 10-year window. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. And that'll do it for us today, too, here at Corner Booth Sports. Appreciate you tuning in. A lot of heated conversations today, a lot of fun topics to talk about, too. Remember, you can follow us and subscribe right here on YouTube. And now you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We partnered with Anchor. We're up on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, wherever you get them. So if you don't have time to watch us, but you want to hear us, go to one of those sites and rate us and follow us and review us. We'd really appreciate it. But Daniel, thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate this time. Always fun chatting. Always fun.
It was a pleasure. I'll look forward to seeing what happens next week.
That's right. Another episode coming next week. So stay tuned for that. Until then, thank you all for watching and listening